When you finished your PhD at the University of Toronto, I know you've already mentioned, you knew right from time that you wanted to become a professor. So I believe that was part of what motivated you to start postdoctoral fellowship at the University of Toronto. And how did that contribute to the journey, just getting started with the whole professorial application process?
Yeah. Uh, I think it's becoming a norm here in North America. I mean, this is very common in Europe, but it's
Okay.
becoming a norm here in North America that you have some postdoctoral experiences before you get a job, because
Yeah.
most people who want to hire, most schools or most hiring committees are always looking out for someone who has got experience in teaching, who has got experience in research, who has got experience in service. Service doesn't have to be you know at that high level, but in terms of teaching and research, you are expected to have experience, right? uh, the postdoc did prepare me um, very well at that, for this very job that I have now, right? Because it was during the postdoc that I put my application together, right?
Okay.
And my postdoctoral supervisor helped me to look at the application, right?
Wow.
She did help me to look at the application. Even when I was coming for my job talk and the likes, she helped me to look into it.
Yeah, it's a very tough. It's a very tough topic to research.
Yeah. So she helped me look into it. She also got me some very important gadgets, including this very phone. Also
So,
got me.
but special thanks, there's special thanks to your professor. That so was so the professor was more like in the same department, and so in terms of the research area, from your PhD and the postdoc. So were they like very similar, or there were some newer things you had to learn in your
Yeah,
postdoc? How far was the research?
I had to do something else for my postdoc, right?
Okay.
But something almost in the same line as what I did for
What you did?
my PhD. For my PhD, I examined, of course, I'm a historian, so I focused on the Nigerian Civil War, looking at how the violence of that war
Started.
shaped the everyday experiences of women and children in Biafra. That's what I looked at. But for my postdoc, I continued in that line by now focusing in the area of, you know, international migration.
Okay.
So I looked at the experiences of those who were in Biafra during the war, but had to leave Biafra as a result of the war, and also during the immediate aftermath of the war for Canada and the United States.
Well, I never thought, I never thought, like very exciting research could be done in this area.
Yeah, yeah. You can do a lot. So I focused in the area of transnational, international, or global migration, right? By looking at Biafrans, Igbo people, Igbo families in Canada and the United States. So I did, a kind of comparative studies of
Studies.
their experiences, right? So it was almost in the same line, but while one tends to be local, the other one is transnational.
Yeah.
And to now say that my postdoctoral supervisor is not an Africanist, she doesn't work in Africa, but she works in the field of migration.
Okay, so you have to bring in a
So I
perspective.
have to bring in our expertise. Yes, our expertise with my expertise, and both, blended together. They blended very, very well.
So for those that are kind of thinking about migrating from being from PhD to becoming like a professor. So the teaching aspect, like, being a course instructor and all that, also you can develop your teaching portfolio during that time.
Yes, yes. It's good to seize that opportunity to develop your teaching portfolio while, doing your PhD program. You see, I was very lucky, for the kind of university that I attended because I started accumulating teaching experience from my first year of PhD program,
Wow.
my first year in the PhD program. So I started working as a research assistant, sorry, as a teaching assistant,
Teaching assistant,
like that, organize, what is it called, tutorials and the
your
likes.
instructions.
Yes, like 1 hour, 2 hours, nights, right? So by the time I got to my, I think, second year or third year, I started to teach to teach one or two courses of
Courses. Yeah.
my supervisors. And at the same time, uh, in my fourth year, I think third year or fourth year, I started teaching as an instructor.
Wow.
Yeah, I
So for those,
own courses.
yeah. So for those who may not understand between being a teaching assistant and a course instructor, so if you can just maybe expand on it a little bit.
Okay. So a teaching assistant is you are like a subordinate, right? You are assisting a professor, natural professor, someone who is employed at the university level, right? You are assisting the person either to grade or to teach tutorials and the likes, right? So you are like an assistant in that sense. You are assisting a professor to to move forward the course, right?
Mm.
But as an instructor, you are like a boss on your own because now you are going to design your syllabus yourself.
Oh
You are
wow.
going to
Okay.
design your students' assignments, the assignments you want your students to do. You are going to develop everything all by yourself,
I
right?
think that's a very useful experience,
Yes, and you are going to teach everything all by yourself.
by yourself.
You are going to
But
teach, you are going to grade, you're going to enter the grades in the system and the likes. So you won't get the kind of support that you would get as a teaching assistant or a research assistant. Remember that a teaching assistant, you are subordinate, right? But as an instructor, you are in charge of your course.
exactly.
So you can design your course however way you want it. You can, design, come up with whatever assignments you want your students to do, right? So the authority is in your hand. You are not restricted as
Yes.
a course instructor.
That's beautiful. So I know, I believe as with other, job search and different application process, how was that like for you? Did you like, maybe was there like applications to different institution, and so maybe, or generally maybe you can, how is the process like in terms of you apply, you do interview, or you do like a teaching interview, are there other maybe written assessment, or group interview with the department, how does that work? I know during my time PhD, I know sometimes I get emails that, oh, this particular professor is uh maybe it's a postdoc, right? He or she's a postdoc. Then they're planning to do a teaching assignment, and then they send the person's CV. So generally, if you can maybe summarize how is the process like, and
Yeah. In,
and how long it took.
okay, so from postdoc to where I'm at today, right?
Yes.
To get
Yes.
launch this job, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Again, it's good to start early, right?
Okay.
Well, it happens for people at different stages, right? For some, they would get jobs before they even defend their dissertations.
Oh,
Right. But for others, they would get jobs while doing their postdoc, just like myself. Right.
okay.
For some, they would get jobs after, maybe 5 years after, or 6 years,
5 years after first
3 years
school.
after, or whatever. You understand? So it all varies. Right. But one thing that I know and I would advise whoever wants to, go in that line to start early, start applying when it is very clear that you are going to
So,
defend your dissertation in the next 6 months or 7 months or 1 year or whatever. Because there's something they call ABD, all but dissertation, right?
exactly.
You are also qualified to apply for the same job that those who have got PhD can apply for. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's good to start early, of which I did. I'm an early starter. I started very early. I started applying when I was already in my final year. Right.
Wow.
I applied. I got I got some, of course, I was a finalist at some Canadian universities and the likes, but I didn't get any of those jobs. But then I gained experience. Right.
Exactly.
And
That
all the interviews that I went to, from all the presentations that I made and the likes, I gained experience. I was a finalist. To get to final, to be a finalist
lot.
level while you are trying to finish it, it means that you're very competitive. Right.
Exactly.
So that gave me a sense that, well, if I continued as I was doing and I maintained my publication, my research kind of energy, I would get something. So I wasn't bothered, right, about not getting a job or whatever, because I even before I defended my dissertation, I already got my postdoc at
Okay.
the same university, right? I got my postdoc like I think 6 months or 7 months before my defense. Yeah, so I knew I already had something, and my postdoc was going to last for 2 years,
Okay.
right? So starting early is very important because if you don't get it the first year, you would get the experience, right? You
Exactly.
gain a lot of
Yeah.
experience, which you can then transfer, right, on the one that you'll be preparing later or after. So that's one thing, starting early. So I started early the first year. I didn't get a job, but it was my second year on the job market that I got this job. I landed this job. So how does it work? First, you have to be on the lookout for adverts,
Available positions.
available positions, right? There are sites for every discipline.
Exactly.
I'm a historian. If I wanted to go on the job market today, I know where to go to search for opportunities. Right. So I guess it's the same thing with other fields. Right. There are always opportunities coming out from, I think, June, July every year up until like maybe September. For some,
Okay.
October. Right. You will see a lot of opportunities, a lot of adverts, coming up. Some would ask for assistant professors, some would ask for associate professors, some would ask for full professors, right? And some would even ask for research fellows and like.
Exactly.
So it all varies. So it's good to start the search from maybe June, July. So between June, July, August, September, October. Sometimes, yeah, September, October, November. There's there's no there's no
Not a lot.
would come. Not a lot. Maybe one or two would just be coming in, but a lot, a lot of jobs will start coming out from June, July, August, September, October. October is almost even getting late.
From the end. Towards the
Yeah,
ending.
it
Yeah.
was ending, yes. Um, so that's that. Start getting ready, start early, start looking out for job. So if you find any job that suits that fits your profile. Then hmm, you look you look at the requirements. What are they asking for? Some of them might ask you to submit your CV and your cover letter, your statement of diversity. Some might ask you for your writing sample, right? And some or all would ask you for letters of reference, right? Reference
Just
letter,
like that.
right? Like three. I mean, the traditional number is three,
True.
right?
Okay.
But some schools like Harvard would ask you for five.
Wow.
Yes, it's like that. I've been there, so I know. Well, okay. Schools will ask you for five and likes, right? But traditionally, generally, it's three reference letters. And also, before you put in your application, make sure you've informed those who would write reference letters for you ahead, like maybe a month or two ahead. Let them know that, yes, I want to apply for this job. What do you think about it? Are you able to provide me, with
A reference.
a reference or whatever and likes? Yeah. So don't let it just, jump in their email. Then there's one school somewhere asking them to provide a reference letter.
A reference letter.
They'll be very hungry about it. Make sure you've discussed it with them. They are satisfied. They are happy to provide you with, a reference letter before you enter their names in the system.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
yeah. Right. And even available.
make sure that they are also available and they are ready. They are excited about you going on the job market, right? This is very important because if you have someone who is not passionate about, what you want to do or about your success, that person might write the letter, but it's not going to be the strong kind of letter that you want.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yes. So you apply, then you submit your application. 2 months for some schools. Some schools might wait for 2 months, depending on the period of the year, right? For some years, maybe the hiring committee might be very busy or whatever. Maybe, yeah. But mostly typically within a month, between a month and two, you should hear back from universities if they are moving on with you or not. Right. So if they are not moving on with you, you won't hear anything. For some schools, you may not hear anything. Right. But if they are moving on with you, they will reach out to you asking about your availability for an interview, right? And you'll be interviewed for the first stage of interview.
So that one. So that interview is just basically with the hiring committee alone.
The hiring committee, yes.
Okay.
That's the first stage. There's usually that first stage. And that one is usually online.
Online. Okay.
Yeah, because maybe you're the first list is a long list.
Of applicants.
It's a long list of applicants of potential applicants, right? It's one of them that would eventually get the job, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's the first list that will come. And that first list might have between 10 and 12 people on it, right? So then they will interview everyone, each person on that list.
Oh,
Then it's from that list that they will pick three. They usually pick the best three.
three.
Yes. They will pick three, then they will tell the rest, sorry, we have moved on with other candidates.
Other candidates. Yeah.
Yes. Then they will send, after they've already picked their best three, then they will send messages to those three, inviting them to campus
Okay. In person now.
in person now. So in person now, coming to campus, that's when you do the real job.
Exactly. They want to see you teach and do other things.
Realize they want to see you. So that's when they would invite you to campus. They would buy your flight tickets. They will pay for your hotel stay. For some schools, you also get some stipends, right, for
Oh,
coming.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
just for
Because
coming.
it's a lot of work,
It's a lot of work. So they give you
what,
food because you're going to be spending like 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 days.
yeah.
So, yeah, there. So when you get to that campus, of course, they must have, before you travel, before you leave your home or wherever, your school or they must have informed you about, they must have sent you the itinerary,
Itinerary. Yeah.
right? These are the things that you're going to do. You're going to meet with the chair of the department. You'll be meeting hmm, with faculty members, and they will put the names of those people. Oh, we'll take you to this zoo, we'll take you to these places, just because they want you. They don't know who is going to get the job, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But they
Exactly.
want you to be comfortable while with them. So they will tell you about dinner, they will tell you about lunch, they will tell you about the people that you'll be meeting with and the likes, right? But don't forget that while all those meetings are going on, you are still being assessed.
Assessment is ongoing.
So you need to be in your best behavior. And you also have to be original too. Don't pretend, don't hide who you are. Because if you try to hide, it's going to show who you are, will definitely
Exactly.
show. Right. So the most important thing is being yourself. Right. Be yourself, smile regularly, um, just be free because the people they want to hire are those who would come out as colleagues, right? So you
Exactly.
have to be there. You must be respectful, that's certainly, but you must also be able to show to them that you can be a very good colleague with them, right? So having being in your best behavior is very important, right? And also being able to watch the room, being able to study
Exactly.
the environment, right? Uh, yeah, so those are the kinds of things. Then during your visit, you make presentations. You might give just research talk. You talk about your research. You talk about the contributions of your research. You talk about what you want to do going forward.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
the type of research? Would you want to publish your dissertation as a book? What are you doing to get it published as a book? Right? Are you already contacting some publishers? What kind of conversation are you having with them and the likes? Yeah. So you need to talk about all those things because no university or department wants to hire someone who would not be able to get tenure.
Exactly.
They want to make sure that you have that capacity to listen. Right. And you must be able to demonstrate that during your talk. Right.
Exactly.
Then after that, maybe a week or a month or 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, you hear from them.
Oh wow.
If you're getting the job or not, they will tell you. If they've moved on with maybe
Other candidates.
another candidate, they will tell you. If you are on a wait list, they will tell you. Right. If you are not, if they are no longer considering you, they will tell you. At that point, you don't have anything to lose. Right. Because, if they want you, they want you. If they don't want you, they don't want you. Then you have to begin to look elsewhere. Right. But if they want you, then they are going to tell you, oh, look, we are offering you this job. Then negotiation would begin. They might tell you, oh, we are offering you this job and this is what we are this is the amount that we are offering you per year, right? If it's okay with you, you say yes. If it's not okay with you, you want to negotiate, then
Can
get
negotiate.
into negotiation. Yes.
Exactly. Wow. It's a long process, and that's why kind of what you mentioned there is very important to begin early and then know what you're after, kind of know what you are, the whole process and everything. So thank you so much for taking that time. So there may be, persons that kind of maybe at their undergrad or their masters and kind of thinking about their career journey and process. Or what is that one advice you will have for those that are, in school, maybe during grad school, and maybe trying to figure out, what they'll do in the future. Where is that one piece of advice we'll have for
Just follow their dreams. You know, believe in themselves. You know, never give up. Always walk towards your dream. If you believe in something, go
them?
for it.
Go ahead. Okay.
Yes, walk towards it. Be determined. Be dedicated. Um, do not allow your present condition to prevent you from moving ahead, from forging
Yes.
ahead.
Yes.
At every stage you get to, there would always be at least an obstacle.
Exactly.
Right? So do not allow that to define how far you get or you go in life. Right?
Exactly.
We've all been through obstacles, right?
Exactly.
I went through so many hurdles before I got this job, this beautiful job that I have today. Right.
Wow.
But I had applied to so many universities. Some of them did not even get back to me. And I put in
Wow.
the same amount of energy that I put in to get this one. Right.
Exactly. Wow.
So look at it. So it takes many, many, many hours to put an application together, a very good application at that. Right. And that's why it's important that, one starts very early so that you don't get overwhelmed. Right. Because one can easily get overwhelmed when,
That's
trying to put applications together. And in that process, you become very disorganized. You're saying words that you are not supposed to say. Analyzing things that you are not supposed to be analyzing. You are making references to things that you are not supposed to make references to. You know, so it's good to make sure you start early and make sure you follow your dream.
use that. Start early, follow your dream. Yeah.
Yes, if graduate school is not something that is designed for you, go for where your passion lies.
Okay.
I always say this: PhD is not meant for everybody.
Yeah. Tell the say I think you should repeat that again.
PhD is not they are not a competition. You
Yeah.
understand? If you have, because it's gonna weigh a whole lot on your mental health,
Mental health. Yeah.
right? It's gonna affect you if you are doing something that you're not passionate about. You're just forcing yourself doing PhD when you know that you don't have that capacity to deliver. You will be there for 10 years, still you are not done. You get frustrated.
Yes.
Mental health issues will set in, depression will set in, lack of funds and the likes, everything will set in. So, in order to save yourself that stress, before you put in an application, ask yourself, is this what I want to do? And you must also be able to explain why, to answer that question. Why PhD?
Wow. Exactly.
Why PhD? Why do I need a PhD? What is it important for? Right? In my case, I was able to answer that
The
question.
question.
Yeah, because I knew if I didn't get a PhD, there's no way I could be a professor.
Exactly.
I knew I needed a PhD to get there, and not just a PhD, a good PhD. And I
Exactly.
also must understand my research clearly. I must be
Exactly.
able to explain my research in 1 second to a layman that a layman will understand, right?
Exactly.
I finished my PhD about 2.5 years now. I'm still very passionate about it. When I talk about my research, you see the passion there. That's
Exactly.
the kind of thing, that's the kind of fire you want to feel 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line. Right. So don't do something that would sink you into oceans of depression.
Exactly.
Make sure you are able to answer that question.
Yeah.
Why PhD? Why masters? Is this meant
Exactly.
for me? Do I really need it? Some people are doing really well in the field of technology. with just bachelor's degrees.
Bachelor's, yeah, exactly.
Bachelor's degrees, they are doing very well. You know, they are doing excellently well. You might be one of them, right? So don't put yourself into, a situation that, you know, you may not be able to get out of for the rest of your life.
People have asked me several times, because I mentor a lot of people that are coming here for grad school. They ask, "Oh, I want to do PhD," because I'm very intentional to ask them the question first. Why do you want to do a PhD? So I ask them,
Able to answer that question.
yeah, if you think you are in it for the money, specifically, then
Yeah.
that may not be the highest, reason to go into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for me, I answered that question very early. Like when I finished my master's, I asked
Mm-hmm.
myself, you know, like I mentioned, I asked myself, what do I envisage myself in the future? And or positions like that,
Exactly.
the people that are doing it now, what kind of degree do they have?
Mm-hmm.
You know, exactly. So those are some of the things that motivated me into doing those research because I'm very interested in research and development, and I
Very good.
saw that people that are mostly heading those departments and divisions, they go with really good PhD. So I'm like, okay, this is for me. There
Yeah.
are some more persons that did not do it and they are doing excellently well. So like you mentioned, I love that statement, follow your passion and know your why, because at some point it gets tough in the middle of the PhD and you start
Yeah.
asking, who even sent me to this people?
Exactly. And you don't want to be in that situation.
You know,
Yeah.
and for times like that, the only thing that keeps you going is your why.
Your why, yes.
Why when you Simon Sinek you always say start with why. When you start with why, the how and other things all flow. And then
Yes.
when graduate
The God
start
will come. They will come later. Yes.
that
God will
you
come later. Yes.
exactly. Thank you so much for this very wonderful conversation. I learned a lot, for
Mhm.
somebody in the STEM, learning more about, history, different kinds and different aspects of history, because I wasn't opportune to do history back
Mm.
during my secondary school, but I did literature in English,
Okay.
literature,
Good.
right? The literature which was quite interesting. So I kind of, the literature and a few aspects of governments that I did government as in there was some, history part of government and quite interesting,
Mm.
but thank you so much for taking our time to have this engaging conversation. Hopefully we'll have you again. And for those that are watching this video, do it to hit the subscribe button and like the video. Leave a comment in the comment section. If you're planning to do a PhD, why do you want to do a PhD? If you don't want to do a PhD, why don't you want to do a PhD? If you want to be a professor, just put it in the comment section. Why do you want to become a professor? And, any comment, if you have specific questions for me or Dr. Bello, just put it in the comment section. If there are questions I cannot answer, I will definitely reach out to him so that I'll be able to provide answers to that question. And for those that are looking for an opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with me, there's going to be a link in the description. So check it out in the book section. Then we can chat about your goals, and then I will give you some insight on how to make that possible. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.
Thank you.